to buy a storage auction? Well, first, you got to figure out where you're going to buy one. If you're going to go there in person and bid on it live and pay for it right there, make sure you got enough cash or set limits because you're supposed to pay for it right there. And some complexes will require a deposit on top of what you paid to assure that you clean the entire unit out. So you better have a broom and all that kind of stuff and trash bags and everything so that you can do that. I've got some really bad units and were a lot of work. I got two that were car related. Uh, Hobbyist was working on cars, and uh, I mean, there was like, big containers of tranny fluid and used oil and stuff all over the floors and big stains on the floors I was trying to get up and just, I mean, all kind of stuff. But anyway, so they'll refund you that deposit once they inspect the unit to make sure it's been completely swept out and clean and you didn't leave anything behind because that's the whole idea of the auction. And so they have a clean, fresh unit to rent. And sometimes you'll get auctions that are full of garbage. That's the next problem. Are they going to let you use their dumpster, or do you have to haul it off yourself and pay for loads at the dump to dump it there? I mean, it's simple as an old bed or a piece of furniture, and they'll charge you $25, $30 to drop it off at their dump, and you have to bring it there. So there's lots of costs entailed. Um, so you have to figure if you're going there in person, you got to be there really early. You're going to stand around and wait. And I've never seen a live auction that was on time. Sometimes you wait another hour or 2 hours because they're not ready. Because people are paying at the last second to try to stop the auction so they can save their unit, and then it gets pulled off the auction block. So anyway, and they usually send numerous warnings and calls before they even get to that point, and sometimes people luck out and score the money in the last second. Um, Otherwise, a lot of them have gone online now that I've noticed in the last year. I've done storage auctions for since about 2004, I'd say, something like that. Um, and most of them I just ran across or happened to be there when they were doing one. And I stepped into it and I got them all relatively cheap. I'm talking like $30 and less for whatever size unit. Um, and um, the largest I scored was like a 20 by 40, two of those for like $15 or something like that. And it just depends, what you're looking at. If you're by yourself or you got a crew to help you, you're going to pay these people to help you, whatever. All these are costs. Your hourly time is costs. Your fuel to get to the auction site, if you're live bidding, and also your fuel for however many trips you're going to make. I got a friend of mine that Henson, he likes tools. So, and it's not like you can see all this stuff when you go to auction and look at pictures because what they do is they only take a picture of the front of the unit. And so you can't tell what's inside. And if a box says air compressor, it might be full of clothes or baby stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean that box has an air compressor in it. And so you just never know. So, anyway, he likes to buy little tiny stuff that's smaller than like 10 by 15. Little tiny, he calls it lockers. And he prefers that it's all in plastic totes so that he can just load it up on his truck and go. And he's gone in about an hour. And sometimes he'll bring somebody with him and they'll help him load it and he'll take looks at stuff as he's loading it up. I don't like to do it like that because I don't want to move anything in my car that can be illegal. anything from needles, crack pipes used, and you'll find that stuff all the time. Um, Bottles of drugs, um, uh, any illegal items, guns, anything. I want to make sure that anything I transport in my vehicle that's with me, that I'm not going to go to jail for, okay, if I get stopped. Plus, I don't want to store it in another unit um, if it's illegal, because possession is 9/10 of the law and they can think it's yours. So I always check every little thing before I load it, because I don't want those liabilities. Um, and uh, so, anyway, um, if you can do it clean and cut, boom, boom, like that, it's great. But I've bought small and little ones by feeling only, and was right most all the time, 90% of the time. No, I've never hit one with a safe in it. I've known people that have. Um, and it's not always like it's full of jewelry and money. Usually it's stuff like car titles and things like that, or family pictures or something like that. Um, it's not always a treasure. Trust me. I've only heard very few times where people found, $1,000 in money, or that's the most I've ever heard, or uh, uh, like some gold coins, you know. Uh, and the gold coins were in dressers that had clothes in them, and they were hidden like one at a time here or there, kind of thing. And some guy, this was a recent thing, some guy found some gold coins apparently. So and heck, half the time you don't even know if a lot of that stuff's stolen. But anyway, so you have to figure your hourly time right off the top. You know, uh, that's the first thing. So if you're doing it to try to resell it, make money out of it, or just accrue more crap, which is a really bad idea, um, then uh, you have to figure your hourly time. That's deducted right off the top. You have to figure your fuel. The two that I bought recently is $20 a trip, because it is way in another place, and making one, two, or three trips a day, that's 20, 40, $60 right off the top. And then if you want to eat, that's another cost. Buying food to go out. If you don't have enough clothes, I was working in over 100-degree weather, and three times I had to go buy shorts or tank tops because I was too far away to go get a change of clothes. Um, and I hadn't done much laundry that week, so I just didn't have the clothes to accommodate. Plus, if you want to change clothes, if you get stuff on you and you want to change clothes, um, you have to be ready for all these things, and they're all costs. They're deducted from your profit, for sale of this stuff. You have to find out how much time you have to get the stuff moved, because the whole idea is to get it out and not pay the storage fee, storage rent. And I've always been really good with that, because the first thing that went in the first 3 days was furniture. Because as I pulled stuff out, when I could get to the furniture and be able to shoot it all the way around, then you got to buy cleaning supplies for the furniture to clean it up a little bit, so you can photograph it and list it, and you put it on the marketplace. That's a real good option. And you make people come by appointment only when they're ready to come now. You don't give them addresses or anything else, and you don't do it after hours. Hopefully do it under the video cameras. The complexes are usually very nice about that, letting you do that, and it's for your safety. And they're always going to jerk you around. The deal always goes bad if it's like after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Um, normally I would do mine like 11 to 4. That's it. And tell them cash only, you know. And as I always, some of them will jerk you around and go, yeah, I'm on my way now. And then, an hour later, they're going, well, I had to go to the ATM. And 30 minutes later, I had to pick up my sister at work. Another hour later, they're like, well, I went to get some soda pops. And they'll jerk you around, or they're coming from somewhere that's 60 miles away. I'm on my way now. If you hold it, I'm on my way now. And it's like, I don't hold nothing. You need to have money. And I want cash. I've had people offer to PayPal me, cash at me, all kinds of different stuff. But a lot of that stuff, they can retract the payment. So you don't want to get into something like that. It's pay as you go kind of thing. Bring me money, it's yours. I'm not babysitting it for you. I'm not saving it for you. Um, uh, no discounts, deals, or offers, no trades, that kind of thing. Um, so anyway, once you win the unit, the whole idea is get it liquidated ASAP, get it gone. And the furniture goes first. Furniture is very easy to sell since the pandemic because there's a lot of tourists moving around in different places, and they'll buy stuff and they will pay like retail price for this stuff. I sold nasty, raggedy, wretched dressers, clothing dressers for $100, all paint all etched up and stuff, and or a missing handle, and they'll pay $100 for it in a heartbeat and come get it. And you tell them, you load, you move it, oh, because you get all these other messages. Can you deliver it? I'd really like it, but if you could deliver it, I've even had people say that over tools that I listed, power tools. Well, could you deliver it to me 35 miles away? For the $15 price. You know, because when you keep it for some days and keep marking the price down, just get it going. And then they want you to deliver it, and it's like, are you kidding? You don't know where you're going to. You don't know if the house is creepy. You don't know if they're going to rob you when you get there. You know, you don't know if you hand it to them, they look at it and they walk back in their house and go, F you. You don't want to get into a situation like that. Be under the cameras, under these storage complexes where you're safe. Do it quick and clean. Don't sit and visit and yip yap and talk crap because you're losing money by the hour. Um, you have things to do. So the biggest thing is to get out of it ASAP. Most of them are about a 3-day time. I had one that was 1 day that I bought, and it was a 1 day, and I was renting units there, and so I immediately like loaded the stuff in that I had got, and there were people standing around to offer me money for some stuff that was there, and they could have been the people that owned the unit, and that can work out well too because you can name your price. But get the furniture gone first. That's rule one. Whether you can sell it or you donate it and they give you a tax write-off paper, you fill in the item, the price, value, whatever, and you get to write that off on your taxes at the end of the year. So it's win-win all the way through. And the thing is, you got to move this stuff. If you want them to do pickup, it takes about a week to schedule a pickup with any of these secondhand stores. And you don't have time for that, or you're going to be paying for a storage unit, and that's taken away from your profit on the deal. See, so you got to keep your costs down as low as you can for as long as you can. Clothes. These secondhand stores don't want any clothes on there unless they're washed. You're looking at $40 to $100 to go to Washateria and wash a bunch of clothes. You don't even wash those at your house. And you have to buy Lysol and soap, and because and gloves, because you don't want to really touch this stuff, and you want to make sure that all the germs are out of it when it gets washed, and fold it up nice and neatly, put it in bags or boxes. You'll have to buy hefty bags. You'll have to buy boxes because you want fresh, clean boxes, and again, and so you uh, was a boondocker dude that was out of gas. Apparently, slept in his car all night and left the AC running, I guess. And things running like crap. He had to go put gas in it. Now he's come back after he left. But anyway, so uh, all these are costs. The first thing that I have before I go into a unit is I gotta buy locks, or I have locks on me. And then I buy hefty bags. I buy paper towels. I buy furniture polish, cleaning spray. Um, stuff like that. So you can clean the furniture up and photograph it right away and list it while you're emptying this unit out. Um, uh, you usually want to wear gloves going through these units because you don't know if it's been exposed to meth lab cooking inside the unit or what. So you want to make sure to wear gloves. Uh, you know, then you've got your transporting costs. Are you gonna get a rent a trailer, rent a truck? Now that's taken right off the top of your profit right there. Do you have people to help you? You got to pay people to help you to move this stuff. Um, you know, the time to sort it, the weather. Is it going to rain so it's going to stop what you're doing? Is it going to be extremely hot? How much time can you be out there in the heat? You know, is it full of rodents? And then you got to buy, rat poison, which is like $10 a box. And wear tennis shoes. Don't wear sandals because then you might get bit by some rodent. People are not real smart. They tend to store food, and that's the problem. You're just feeding the rats, and it's very problematic. You're going to be very careful going through stuff in storages because you don't want to reach your hand into a box with a mother rat with a whole bunch of babies in there or something, get bit and get rabies or whatever. you know there's a lot entailed. You got to have a broom, um, and a dustpan, and tarps. Tarps to put, in your car so that you can put stuff on top of it to move it. Or tarps because you're cleaning furniture and the storage unit leaks, it rains in it, whatever, and you've got to cover the items up before they sell. Um, then you have, all kinds of other things that you're dealing with. Um, oh my gosh, this guy just like did a vomit burp over here. So then you guess again, read again. Boy, that car's terrible. So anyway, there's a lot of costs involved in how many days it's going to take to get the stuff moved. Um, I would take all the stuff and wash it, and then the real homeless people around, whether it be winter or summer, like in winter, I would go around and give people, pillows and blankets or sleeping bags and sheets or whatever. I set up a couple that was living in a storage unit in the Fort Walton area. They got an apartment, and a young couple, and they didn't have anything really. And I set them up with a bunch of cleaning stuff, laundry soaps, you name it, household cleaning stuff, boxes of that was in a unit. Plus, I gave them pillows, blankets, sheets, and a bed that came out of the unit as a gift. I'm like, here, take this so you have something to start up, because they were like, we got a place, but we got nothing to put in it. And I just gave it to them just to get the stuff out of there. And so I've given jackets to people in the wintertime, and work shoes, to help them get started, the homeless people and stuff. And then whatever I don't use, I donate. The sad part is I wished I'd have known more about used clothes market a year ago, because I lost a ton of money, donating and giving a lot of that away when I could have retailed out, because there's a huge market on the internet for used clothes. And I mean, we're talking like $20, $30 and up per item resellability and on used stuff. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm not into like cleaning tennis shoes up and stuff like that. But now a nice pair of leather shoes or whatever, I'll either do it myself or take it to a shoemaker and have them straighten them up. I bought a pair of shoes for $11 in Panama City at the flea market. Took it to a shoemaker, paid him $15, and sold the shoes for $100 on eBay years ago. Yeah, it was amazing. Uh huh. And they were gorgeous. They were like brand new when the shoemaker got them. And so anyway, you know, there's a lot of cost and time involved, and That's the bad part. I mean, like on these last two units that I bought, I blew out like $450 in the first week in fuel and supplies. Boom. Yeah. And you know, you're praying every day, going through that stuff and sorting it out, trying to pack it up, and hoping to find some good stuff. You know, which I hadn't yet, because you're trying to, you know, add up what you spent on the units to see if you're going to make any profit at all. That's the problem. And then you got stuff you got to clean up. You know, it's like right now I've got like 200 things of yarn that have been exposed to the dust and this, that, and the other, and some are stained, and that's going to be problematic. Um, that takes away from your profit right there. Um, but the whole idea is not to have to pay rent on the storage unit. Get it gone, get it out. I always bought any size unit if I felt good about the deal. The people that were, you know, like pro buyers that I bid with for a year were like, I'm not buying a big, huge unit. Forget all that crap. I don't want nothing to do with it. I just want little lockers, you know, and get it and go. And you know, but if you think about the way you store stuff, I mean, my storages that were stolen, I, you know, I kept most of my valuables, my guitar collection, my, you know, camera collections, my high dollar retail jewelry and stuff in my shops there instead of moving them into a couple of places that I moved into because I didn't know how good that area was. If I was going to get ripped off, it was probably safer in storage. Um, you know, obviously it wasn't. But anyway, um, so there's a lot entailed financially and time wise, and everything costs money. You know, it's like a buddy of mine goes, "Oh, you got a hitch thing?" You know, it's like, "Yeah." And, well, you could rent a U-Haul and stick on. I'm like, you know, no, that's just more money out of my pocket that's going to be deducted out of the purchase. You know, and so and I had a 14-day limit on those two units, and I really didn't think I was going to get out of both in time. I figured I'd end up with one, and as I was sorting, it just, you didn't know, I was hauling so much trash out of there, it was beyond belief. I mean, trash and food, and somebody had already been through the units and ravaged the stuff, so it was pretty bad. But but yeah, the costs are horrendous. But you've got to document all those to see if you're going to make a profit. You know, it's. I mean, right off the top, the supplies just to walk into the door of the storage unit to begin. You're talking $75, $100 tarps, paper towels, cleaning supplies, gloves. You know, uh, you know, hefty bags for trash. You know, just all kinds of stuff. Broom, whatever, you know, just boom on the spot. You know, if you need additional clothes, or if the weather hinders you, if it's too hot or it's raining, and that's going to stop you. There's just so much, you know, if you're working and you have to take off of work, you know, all these things count against it. So these are really important things to know and think about before you go to buy storage auctions. I've bought many of them through the years, and they were all pretty profitable except for two. But those were really small, and those were like setup auctions, I would say. But normally, I don't buy any auctions unless it's like $80 or less, and most all the auctions I've ever bought were around the $20, $30 mark. So, and I've had huge ones and little ones, and I don't buy anything I don't have a good feeling for. I will not. Because I mean, you never know if there's treasure or not. Depends what you're doing with it. If you're like an eBay reseller and you like to sell VCRs and stereos and all that kind of junk and printers, you know, then good for you. I don't like to be selling that heavy stuff and have to get boxes to pack it to make sure it doesn't get broken and this, that, and the other. I'm not in for all that. It's too much trouble. Even for $100 profit, it's just too much trouble. And I don't have time to sit and play with stuff to make sure it's working and all that kind of thing. Forget it. Um, I just like to go through and Even jewelry is hard to sell on the internet. Very hard to sell. I got tons of it already, and real and fake, and it's just super hard to sell. Um, so uh, the costs entailed are huge. How many days did you have to take off of work? How much fuel are you burning? How many hours are you spending messing with this stuff? Do you have to rent a U-Haul? Do you have to rent a trailer? How much is that costing? Do you have to rent the storage unit itself? Are you relocating the stuff to somewhere else? How far away is the complex you're buying from? Are you going to have to get a hotel? This, that, and the other. All these things are costs. So make sure you understand it. It usually doesn't take 20, 30 minutes time to empty a unit out. It's going to take longer than that. You don't know what you come into. You don't know if there's a big dirty damn bed. Then you got to find somebody to haul that or pay somebody. Because that's the biggest problem is beds. Because used beds are garbage. And So there's a lot of things involved, a huge amount of stuff involved. If it's guns in there, you've got to call law enforcement, and that has to be handled the proper way. If there's drugs in there, you have to call law enforcement because that has to be handled the proper way. All the complexes that I've dealt with, all the personal effects go back to the owner, and you don't have to meet with them. You just box it up, put the unit number on there, and that's like house keys and car keys and important documents and pictures, all the personal effects that you don't need. Okay, that's really important to that former owner. Trust me. And then you give it to management, and that's how I've always done it at all the complexes. They literally make you sign a paper that state the stuff about the drugs, the guns, and the personal effects of the owner. And so that's what I've always done. And as you're sorting stuff through, you just get a little box and you're throwing that stuff in as you go. You don't throw their stuff in the trash, their IDs, whatever. And so, um, uh, you know, it, it's that's the way it's done. But it's not as simple as you think it is. If you're out for the big treasure hunt, I guarantee you, I've never hit a safe yet. Never. Okay. I've known, a couple people that have. I know one guy that got 3 safes in 3 units, but there wasn't any major stuff in there. But anyway, it just depends what you're doing with it. If you're a reseller, whatever. But the biggest thing is to get rid of the stuff. You don't want to be hoarding it. It was like my brother was like, "Oh, I know you buy all that stuff so you can store it all." No, that's not the idea. You're not making any money if you're paying storage on it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Get it sold, and try to turn that money over as fast as possible without accruing more costs. You know, and document all this stuff so you keep track of it because it takes time. It really does. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Happy treasure hunting, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you.